The Octagon is coming to the White House. Did you guys hear this? I happened to be watching the news. I went and I was doing a little fishing trip with my son. Had the news on in the background. You know how you do. You're in the kitchen, you're doing things, and it's on the background. But I heard him say this, and I went over and got the remote control, and then I had to watch it again. Yeah, I did hear that right. The President of the United States says they're going to do a UFC fight at the White House. Is that called the Rose Garden? Or just someplace in the White House? But then he actually took another step. There was one more clue, which the president said there could be 20 to 25,000 people there. And that is a very different ask. To pull off an event like that. Bellator did one, and it was at the Playboy Mansion. The UFC did one, and it was for the troops. They went somewhere and they got the tent and they set the Octagon up and pulled this off. If you were to hold it at the White House, I mean, you're talking about building something along the lines of an amphitheater, not just setting up a cage and doing something small or invite only or a black tie event. Friends of the White House. No, it's not like that. 20 to 25,000 people. It's a very incredible concept, and this is the one that we're operating on because this is the information we're given. But I want to ask you a question. Who do you headline? Who do you headline? Now, I just had this conversation with Daniel Cormier. And Daniel Cormier said, if you're going to go to the White House, if this is an event, if this is a spectacle, it's a one-off and it's a special thing, you got to have an American go over. This was Daniel's take on it. And this pained him. This pained him to say. And he says, Chael, if we got to have an American go over, like in a sport as difficult and as competitive as this one, there's only one guy you can put in to assure that the Americans win. You got to make a phone call to Albuquerque. That's how Daniel worded it. He didn't want to say Jon Jones. He didn't want to put this compliment and this praise on him, but I knew what he meant when he said Albuquerque. And I had to sit back. Wow, he's right. He's right. What if you bring in the heavyweight championship? It's Tom versus somebody else, and Tom wins. Or that's a big win for England. There's something about it being on the White House grounds where the American must go over. Daniel and I both agreed a great matchup would be Colby and Chandler. Though it doesn't represent a title, and though it doesn't represent a contendership because they're in different weight classes, it definitely puts on display America. Here's the problem with Daniel and I's thinking. Even though we agree on this, the problem with our thinking is Noche. Noche just happened. It happened at Spear. That was a one-off. Dana said, we're going to play the Sphere and we ain't never going back. And he got in and he played the Sphere, and to current status, there is no consideration or plans to go back. But I'll just remind you of that night. Because the main event was a Georgian in Merab versus an American in O'Malley. And nobody minded. Nobody gave pushback. Nobody said on a day that is supposed to celebrate Mexican independence and Mexican heritage that you must have Mexican fighters. The UFC said, no. We're going to bring the UFC. We're going to bring a world title fight. This is how we're showing our praise. Not with who wins in the final event of the night and what flag they're representing. So, because that's the closest thing that we have, because that's the closest comparison, I don't know that you have to have an American go over. I don't know that you get put in a situation where you got to do it. I do know this, though. And there's no political statement on this. This is very similar to Sphere. If you're going one time, that is the attraction. The moment Dana says we're never playing Sphere again, the guys that wanted to main event, the guys that stepped forward and started lobbying and campaigning and publicly offering to be in the main event, oh my gosh, it skyrocketed. We had every fighter you could think of. The moment Dana said the words, we'll never be back. This is a one-off. So I believe if you treated it the same way, I think you would have everybody coming forward. The problem with that, and there is a problem, which is it becomes a reward. If you get the nod for an extremely coveted spot that your fellow coworkers, your fellow competitors also want, if you get the nod, there's a piece, no matter how small, that's a reward. And that's where the resistance to Daniel's idea that we got to call Albuquerque. Like, Daniel's got a hold of the right tool. He just got it by the wrong end. If we have to have an American and he's got to go over, there's only one person under contract where we have the proverbial guarantee, the proverbial lock. We turn to the best guy. I just don't know that's what's going to be called for in this situation. And I don't know, on the back end of these 13 mysterious days, for 13 days, Jon Jones was retired and out of the testing pool before he re-entered. That's a mysterious 13 days. What happened in those 13 days? What led us to this conclusion? Why are things different? According to Jon, and I'll quote him, to keep options open. So fair enough. Fair enough. It does keep option open, but for something that would recall for a potential reward, I don't know that I'm confident that they're going to take Jon up on his offer. I don't know that I'm confident that Jon is going to get a world title fight. I am confident in telling you, after those 13 mysterious days, Jon will not be getting a reward. But it does beg a very fun question. It's really a very fun question when you understand the uniqueness to this proposal. Who do you predict will be in the main event?